Kathy sat in David's darkened room, nervous, though she wasn't quite sure why. Their parents were gone for the afternoon, and David had closed the drapes, throwing the room into a daytime approximation of night. Next to her on the narrow bed sat Billy, and next to Billy, David's friend Rodney. Rodney kept looking at her, trying to catch her eye, though he was ostensibly talking to her brother. She purposefully ignored him, staring instead at the closed closet door. What was David up to? Her hands pulled nervously on the hem of her skirt, just below her knee. The back of her head itched, and she scratched it. The room seemed darker than it had when she'd first come in, though she could see a thin beam of light streaming through a crack in the drapes to form a wedge of brightness on the closed closet door. Loud thumping noises sounded from inside the closet, and there was a soft, persistent shuffling. Rodney giggled. "What's he doing in there?" Kathy wondered herself. She was already sorry she'd come. She knew she wasn't going to like whatever David had planned, but it was too late to back out now. She looked from the closed door of the closet to the closed door of the bedroom, and wondered why she'd agreed to take part in this at all. She knew how David's plans inevitably turned out. But she hadn't been doing anything important, only rereading her favorite parts of 101 Dalmatians, her favorite book, and when Billy had burst in on her, inviting her to David's room, telling her that David had something planned, she hadn't been able to resist. She looked away from the door, and her eyes accidentally met Rodney's. "Caught." He smiled at her and cleared his throat. "So," he said, "what grade are you in this year?" He knew perfectly well that she was in the 7th grade this year. She had told him the last time he'd been over. She knew that he was only trying to make conversation, trying to talk to her, but she didn't really think they had anything to say to each other. She was still nervously pulling on the hem of her skirt, and she realized with sudden horror that she had pulled it far above her knee, exposing the lower portion of her thigh. She dropped it, blushing, feeling the hot redness creep up her face, and she looked away, certain that Rodney had seen. "You're still going to St. Catherine's, huh? Don't you hate wearing those uniforms?" He had seen. Kathy reddened even more, a flush of embarrassment spreading across her skin, but she was determined not to let him gain the upper hand. "I like St. Catherine's," she said evenly. "Really?" He sounded surprised. "I don't," Billy announced. "I hate it." Rodney continued to stare at Kathy. "Have you thought about where you're going to go to high school?" Kathy didn't want to answer him, but she had brought this on herself. She should never have given him such an opening. "St. Mary's," she said. "I'm thinking of going to St. Mary's." "But that's an all-girls school." She had shocked him, thrown him off balance. Kathy smiled, feeling as though she had finally gotten the upper hand. "Yes," she said. There was a look of puzzlement on his face. "Why?" She shrugged noncommittally. He stared at her. "Don't you like boys?" She colored again, embarrassed, and turned away, refusing to answer him. There was a loud knock from the inside of the closet, and all three of them became suddenly silent, turning to face the closed door where David was about to make his entrance. From inside the closet came the muffled imitation of a brass fanfare, half hummed, half sung. There was a second of weighty, expectant silence. Then the closet door was kicked open from the inside, the brass doorknob slamming against the wall as the door swung all the way out. "It's time," David announced, "for Naked Circus."
To keep listening to this audiobook, I've left you a link in the description so you can do it, at no cost thanks to Audible's 30-day free trial.